Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Jasleen Kaur and I'm a trans creator on the Guru Granth Sahib Project. We're excited to announce the next release of Sheikh Farid Ji's Salok. So this time we have Salok 66 through 92. As you might recall, Sheikh Farid is a 12th to 13th century Punjabi Sufi poet. He has this title of Sheikh that affords him both social and religious authority and legitimacy. And in these Saloks, he explores these ideas around reflecting on the time that he spent as a sort of devotee of Ikonkar. He explores notions of pretense and genuineness. He explores notions of separation and union, and urges us all to spend much more time being devoted, much more time being disciplined, and much less time sort of being steeped in our pride and our ego and our forgetfulness. So I wanted to talk again about the theme of separation and union that's come so many times in these Saloks. There's something really interesting that happens in Saloks 91 and 92, a shift that I've just been very struck by. So in Salok 91, Sheikh Farid Ji, he starts with his imagery of the skeleton and the crows that are coming to devour the dead body. So Sheikh Farid Ji says, Kaga karan dhanolya, sagla khaya mas, e due nana mat chaho, pir dekhan ki aas. So the crows have scoured the skeleton, they've eaten all the flesh. O crows, do not touch these two eyes. There is still hope of seeing the beloved. I've always been struck by this Salok. I think the imagery is so beautiful. I think it's so moving in its sort of simplicity and vulnerability. The ask that Sheikh Farid Ji has for the birds that are coming to devour his body. In this state of reflection that Sheikh Farid Ji is taking us through, as the body is skeletal and withering away, so much so that death itself is descending upon it, he still remains in this state of utter longing. He still asks the crows to spare his eyes. He still asks for a kind of mercy because he still wants to, quote unquote, see the beloved, the divine, Ikonkar. And I think the thing that's also striking to me about this, besides just the incredible imagery, is the hope that he has still to experience that kind of union, that kind of connection. And this hope feels quite radical because it's a conviction, if you ask me, as I've reflected on this, it's a conviction that only those lovers of the beloved can really have because they're so confident in their relationship, they're so confident in the intimacy of that relationship, and they know that there's still time and still hope. There's not the kind of maybe pitying way of thinking about their separation. There's actually something really brave and vulnerable and loving in having a kind of conviction, even at the very end. And if I take that to my own life, I think a lot about the ways that I tend to second guess my own relationship with Ikonkar, the ways that I tend to tell myself that I haven't done enough, or I haven't practiced devotion with enough effort or with enough discipline. And so how dare I seek connection, or how dare I hope for connection? And there's a weird way that maybe we convince ourselves out of that hope, or a weird way that we convince ourselves that it might be too late for us. But I think Sheikh Farid Ji is saying something really interesting, which is even if we have walked this path late in life, or at whatever stage, and however clumsily, maybe we can start to understand that it's actually okay, it's actually encouraged to have this kind of faith and conviction in the grace of Ikonkar. And so I think that Salok has really stuck with me for these reasons. I think Sheikh Farid is showing us as seekers what it's like to be at the kind of height of being in love, that even when there's separation, there's this this just faith that it will end. And in the 92nd Salok, something really interesting happens. It's the same imagery of the crow pecking at the skeleton, but the ask shifts, which I think is really cool. So in the 92nd Salok, Sheikh Farid Ji says, Kaga chund na pinjara, base ta uddhar jahe, jit pinjare mera saho vase, mas na tiddu kahe. O crow, do not peck at the skeleton if it is in your control. Then fly away. The skeleton in which my owner, my master, dwells, do not eat flesh from that skeleton. So look at how the ask changes. He is still pleading with the crows, but instead of asking them to stop pecking just at his eyes, he's like, actually, stop pecking at the whole skeleton. If you can, just go from here. And a shift happens where, from the last stanza where Sheikh Farid Ji expressed his longing to see the beloved Ikonkar, now he's having this realization that actually the whole body is a dwelling place of Ikonkar. So to have this realization of like, hey, within this very body, Ikonkar is dwelling actively, is permeating actively. That too is such a radical thing to not just know logically, but to actually feel. And, you know, remembering that Sheikh Farid Ji is a sheikh, is a Sufi, we can sort of extrapolate and understand that he has spent so much of his time seeking Ikonkar through various practices and austerities and rituals and places. And we all do this in some way. And it's as if he's saying, you know, this is how we waste our lives away, by not experiencing the key, the essence of the thing, which is that realization of the presence of Ikonkar permeating our every cell. So it's as if Sheikh Farid Ji here is saying, actually, the fruit of connection is within us. This presence is constant. And if we can begin to feel it, our separation will end and our pain and longing will sort of dissipate. So even in these skeleton-like bodies, even at the very end, even when all hope seems to be lost, even as we're withering away in that pain of separation, the beloved Ikonkar dwells. And so this body then is no longer a skeleton, but a dwelling place of the divine. Something transforms in our understanding, and we can feel it. We can feel that presence. So Sheikh Farid Ji is showing us how to engage in longing, how to pursue connection with vulnerability and bravery, how to ask for grace, and also emphasizing that what we really ought to be pursuing is the experience of Ikonkar's presence within. That we can sort of knock at the sort of doors of our little hearts and search for that presence, and that we can feel it. So I encourage you to spend some time with these saloks. There's commentaries, translations, and transcriptions and footnotes, as always, for you to explore and reflect on what it would look like for you to turn inward, to find that door of your heart and to start knocking, and to keep asking for grace, keep asking for connection, no matter how you're walking this path, how it might make you waver, and how hopeless it sometimes feels. There's a hope here that I think is really beautiful. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.